When I think of one of the best publishers for the Sega Genesis besides Sega, I think of Electronic Arts. And in today's video, I'm looking at all 20 games that Electronic Arts released in 1992. And what I'm doing is I'm taking this huge publisher and breaking it down by years. I did a previous video of 1990 and 91 games released by EA. And in today's video, it's a second part looking at the 20 games in 92 that they released. I'm having a lot of fun doing this, and it's pretty neat to go back and to look at these games that EA released. Many of them are classics. I know you're gonna have your favorites. So in today's video, I'm gonna be looking at each game, showing you some gameplay footage, and giving you a brief overview and letter grade. So sit back, relax. You may wanna grab some popcorn. Here we go. EA decided to take the James Bond franchise and make a mini game collection of sports games, kind of tied it in loosely to the Barcelona games. They tried to be funny and said that James Bond was practicing for the Barcelona games. These mini games typically don't work. A lot of them aren't fun. I think this would be better served if you're playing multiplayer, but if you're playing this game by yourself, I found the majority of the events boring. It's a D for me. Bulls versus Lakers in the NBA playoffs was a follow-up to Lakers versus Celtics, and I put this in the same category as the other one, even though it has new moves, it has 16 real teams, there's real players in here. I just have a hard time with the choppiness and kind of the slow speed of this game. It tries to be a real basketball game with real moves and players, and you may like that. For me, I like a more of an arcade style, fast moving basketball game. It's a C for me. When I think of video game pinball, Crue Ball is one of my favorite classics, and I really enjoyed what they did with this game. Having the soundtrack of Motley Crue in the background rocking it, and you could tell that this was produced and programmed by pinball experts. The fields are fun to play. It's got great momentum and physics, and I really like everything about this game. It's one of the better pinball games for the Sega Genesis. It's an A. When I think of some of the best games on the Sega Genesis, Desert Strike is in that conversation. This is a wonderful combination of kind of mission-based, isometric view, arcade action. You're controlling an attack chopper, and you're going around blasting away foes and equipment with mission-based objectives. I really enjoyed everything about this game. It's not that long, 27 missions in total, but there's a ton to enjoy in this game. An absolute gem, one of the best EA made for the Sega Genesis. Total S for me. One of several Amiga games to make it to the Sega Genesis, originally called Leander. It was called Galahad on the Sega Genesis, and this is a nice side-scrolling action platformer. It's got big, large sprites. I don't know what I think of the color palette, as you know, it is a little drab, and it is a rather difficult game. If you can get past that challenge, you're in for a treat, as I think this is a solid experience. The Amiga port is better, but this is a B. Here's a clip from a previous video in which I rank Madden 93 and Championship Edition. And that's John Madden Football 93. And so as time went on, they just kept adding more and more and more. And the big thing about this version is that it had a battery save backup. And so it has 8 all-time Madden teams in it, and has the famous coin toss, as well as the introduction, even though it's kind of terrible in this, the Madden voice. And so I would say John Madden 93 is a perfect balance of arcade and sim. And so there is a variation of this game. There's a EASN, EA Sports Network logo on one of these, and this is the first round, the limited edition. It doesn't mean it's worth anything, but anyways, there's this version of the game. And then they got sued, and they got sued and they settled out of court with ESPN, and then they changed it to this version of the game title, and so John Madden Football. And so both are fairly easy to find, but either way, this is a great John Madden game. It's one of my favorite, and I'm going to give it a solid A. I think there's a lot to enjoy. There's lots of extras that they added in Madden 93. There is a rental exclusive, and it is a lot more expensive because it is harder to find, and there is some variations of it. This is one variation, and that's John Madden Football Championship. So what they did is they took the engine from essentially John Madden 93 and did nothing but all 38 championship teams plus 2 all Madden teams. What's kind of cool about this game is that it's kind of timeless. You know, if you're a fan of a particular team, you're gonna find a lot of great championship teams of all time. You know, what is your favorite championship team of all time? It's probably gonna be on here. So anyways, I love this version of the game. It is pretty tough. There is a variation of this game as well, has a different circle sticker there, and so I give this an A as well. I think this is great. It's perfect balance between arcade feel and sim. And here's the ranking through the first 7 EA games of 92. Oh boy! Jordan versus Bird 1-on-1 is a basketball game I don't think of ever playing when I want to have some fun. It's got 3 separate modes. I've never been a fan of this franchise, if I'm going to be completely honest. I think it's lacking several elements that make it a competent basketball game. The control is really off. It's really awkward to do the 3-point challenge with Larry Bird, one of my favorite basketball players of all time. And then it switches to the dunk contest with Jordan, and I just think it's very frustrating to get it just right for dunks. I was able to get some off, but you know, over and over again, this was a terrible game overall. I think it's missing. I think it would be better served as an add-on to an additional basketball game. Avoid this garbage. Total F for me. Flight sim games on the Sega Genesis were a mixed bag, but LHX Attack Chopper was one of the better ones. Not my cup of tea. Not a game I'm going to go back. I'm definitely going to prefer something like Desert Strike, which is a totally different type of game. What you get in this is 30 different missions. You can choose one of 2 different helicopters, tons of armaments and missions, but I thought the graphics were rather drab. I thought it was okay, but for me, it's just a little tough on the eyes. If you're a flight sim fan, you may want to check this one out. I like it, but I don't love it, and so it's a C. Sometimes games have that just one more try to them, and that's what I think of Lotus Turbo Challenge. This is a good racing game. I know it's a computer port, and I really enjoyed what they did here. It's kind of reminds me of kind of a classic Rad Racer. It's got the Outrun vibe. There's debris and things in the roads you have to avoid. There's 8 stages with 60 checkpoints. This is a rather challenging game, but I found myself wanting to play more and more to get to that next checkpoint. I like what they did here. It's a B. NHLPA Hockey 93 was an excellent follow-up to the original. They added lots of different features in here, but when it comes down to it, I like it just as much as the original. It's good. It's not their best, and I know that a lot of people out there love 94, but 93 is good. It's not as good as 94, as it has some less features, but what they did in here, they added instant replay. There's 500 real players to choose from. It might be your favorite. It's a B for me. I'm not a golf expert, but PGA Tour Golf II was recommended by several people, saying it's one of the best golf games on the Sega Genesis. And after playing it, I agree. It's a nice combination of simple setup with good graphics and control. If you can get a non-golfer to like the game, you know you have a hit. I really like what they did in this version of PGA. I really enjoyed it. Even though I'm not the best golfer, I have to give this an A because it was a lot of fun to play. I liked Populous, and I played Power Monger on the Atari ST growing up. So what do I think of the Sega Genesis version? I really think it should have been compatible with the Sega mouse, and unfortunately this is just kind of a control nightmare. There's a lot if you can get past the clunky control and menu, as I didn't think this setup was nearly as good as Populous or even the sequel. And so if you're a fan of those games, you may like this, but because of the clunky control setup, it's a D for me. Risky Woods is yet another classic computer port, and I didn't like this one as much as Galahad or some of the other ports that Electronic Arts published for the Genesis. It was a late 92 release, and this is Relentless. There's tons of power-ups and different creatures. There's a lot in here for people to like. If you like those classic computer ports from Amiga, Atari ST, this one's just okay for me, and it's a C. And here's the ranking after 14. Another hit for EA was Road Rash, and they did a follow-up with Road Rash II, adding more options and levels. I think a lot of people didn't like the music in Road Rash 2, but easy, you can just turn it off and play your favorite soundtrack to your rock or whatever you like to listen to. Love what they did in this game. Absolutely a gem on EA. It's not perfect, but I really loved all the additional features that they added to this version, 1 or 2 players. It's a total A for me. Highly recommend the whole Road Rash series for the Genesis, as it was one of EA's better series. Rollo to the Rescue is a fairly uncommon platformer, unfortunately, because it is one of the better ones for the Sega Genesis. I know a lot of people like this game, and there's a lot here. 60 different levels. There's power-ups. You can collect vacuum cleaners to unlock powers, and it's just kind of like a circus themed game with a kind of a Mario World overview map. I liked what I played of this game. Highly recommend it. It's a B. Shadow of the Beast 2 is not a bad game. It's just not as stellar as the original that I played on Amiga. And so, how is the Genesis port? It's good. It fixes some of the speed issues that the first one had, but it is brutally difficult, and that's going to turn off some people. For me, the sound wasn't as good. It's a solid platformer. Now, I like this game better than Risky Woods, and I probably put it on par with Galahad. But, for me, I'm going to play the original because of my happy memories I had with the original. But this is a solid experience, and this is a B. I was amazed watching the Dream Team back in '92, and so seeing Team USA basketball, I thought, how can they capture that awesomeness of that original Olympic team made up of professionals? And it fails miserably. This is no fun. This is worse than the normal release, such as Bulls versus Lakers. Team USA destroyed teams back then. I'm sure they were trying to balance things out, but teams that shouldn't be a challenge whatsoever are. It takes all the fun away of the amazing basketball team that we had back in the day. Avoid this. This is a D. Where in Time is Carmen San Diego is an educational game. It came bundled with a desk encyclopedia, and a lot of people are going to have happy memories of playing this either at school or in an educational setting, and that's what it is. It's an educational game. It's going to teach you about history and locations, and if that's your thing, then go for it. For me personally, I don't have a problem with educational games. I love awesomeness of games such as Oregon Trail, but this is just okay for me, and it's a C. My thoughts stay the same with Where in the World is Carmen San Diego. Now, for some, you're going to love this game, and you can learn a lot about locations and history. You're trying to take out Carmen San Diego and her henchmen. There's lots in this game if you like this type of game. For me, I would prefer to play an action game, and so this is a C for me as well. Here's the final ranking. There will be a link below for the part 1 of 1990 and 91 games that EA released, and I'm looking forward to doing many more of these. Thank you so much for coming to my channel and watching this video. If you're new, consider hitting that like and subscribe button and clicking the bell as I'm uploading videos every week. You folks are wonderful and beautiful. Let's keep positive. This is the Immortal John Hancock. Thank you for watching, and you have a good day.